Welcome back, everybody, to Inspired Alignment. My name is Kia, and this is my beautiful friend,
Tenshy.
And together, well, I already said it, but we are
Inspired Alignment.
And we are back with you today, ready to film another episode of what is happening in the lives of Kia and Tenshy in a beautiful home on beautiful Vancouver Island. Have we ever talked about that? I think so. We're on Vancouver Island if you're watching from somewhere else in the world. And if you've never come to Vancouver Island, you should do so, because it is a magical place of wonder and excitement and very good humans.
Yes. It's a place that definitely has a different kind of vibe. And where you can find people as authentic as they can be without so many masks. And I really like it. They're just, I think they are comfortable in their own skin, and I like that. Yeah, I want more of that. Definitely.
Yeah, especially where we're at. We're in a little, feels almost hippie town, kind of, sort of. We're literally 5 minutes from a city, but it's not a city that you, it's not a big city. And somehow we're far enough away that it doesn't feel like we're in it. We're out in the forest, pretending that we just play with fairies and trolls all day.
Yeah. Actually, maybe a good way to begin today is I'm not feeling somehow ready for this. And in order for me to prepare for this today, I had to take my family away and be in the forest for a little while. And the intention behind that was just clearing my mind, clearing my aura, clearing my energetic field that has been so charged lately. Because in my mind, it's like I want to share with all of you that are watching us today is the journey of the heart that we have been through. And I wanted to share that journey from a space without the clouds around it. So it's like I need to clear the fog somehow. I need to clear the fog and anchor myself in her, in Gaia. And anchored in her, I could channel whatever comes through me and through you from the heart and not from the mind. And as I talk about that, it's like, okay, let's channel through the heart and from the heart. And as I'm asking myself, am I ready? And before starting this, it's like, are you ready? And to me, literally, I can feel like, am I ready to open my heart? Am I ready to be completely open? And I don't know, the way you see me, the way I see me is I'm a very open person. I share about me, about my thoughts, about my mind, about my feelings, about my processes, my journey in a very open way. Without fear for being judged, but it doesn't mean that because of the openness of my heart and not being afraid, I don't feel the steps back sometimes, and I close up again. And it's like it is a constant movement of opening and closing and opening and closing and opening and closing. That what comes right now is like it's like the muscles. Like it's a practice. It's a practice. Yeah, I don't know if you have felt the same way.
I would say, as a general rule, somehow, I want to say you're better at being open than I am, but I don't think that's accurate. I don't think I have a problem necessarily talking about what's happening for me if I can identify it. I have a problem with being able to, I don't have a problem with, let's not say that, but I do not have a lot of experience or know-how with sometimes identifying my own journey. We obviously have been walking tandem for a couple months now, and I think majority of the in-depth conversations that we want to share with you guys. Well, obviously the conversations we're sharing with you are between her and I, but even within our household, like her and I do most of the talking about like what in the hell is going on in this place. Like I see this in my child, or I see that in your child, or, you know, I'm noticing that in you. She's noticing something in me. We talk about it. Obviously each one of us also talks to our own kids and stuff like that, but it's like we're the representatives of our families in some way. And I feel like you can always come and you have in your mind what you want to talk about, and you have in your mind what you see is not aligned or not working. Whereas for myself, like you're an external processor. We know this. You may not know this, but everyone in this room knows that this woman is an external processor. So she comes with whatever is in her mind. She talks it all out with whoever she chooses to talk to. And then we're all on the same page. And we're like, okay, I don't think I helped with that conversation, but at least I know what's happening for you because you just told me all of it. I am not that. I don't know if there's a word for what I am. I say to Tenshy lots, like, if I want to figure out what the hell has happened for me for like the last 4 weeks, it means I need to intentionally decide to sit preferably for like 5 hours and just like write, pretty much just write, or like talk to myself, because I talk more authentically if it's just to myself somehow. Although I was saying to her, like, I will write and I will write whatever I want and I'll put that out to the universe. Like, I have a Substack, I have an Instagram, I have all sorts of places where I write essays that are far too long for people who want to read them. And that's like all my stuff that I am offering. And then I feel like once I've done that, somehow it is processed. And I said to her the other day, it's like, I need someone to like go read my digital social media journal and then come back to me and be like, hey, I saw you wrote about this. You want to talk about that? And I'd be like, what? No. I mean, I guess so, because I put it out there. So sure. But so, yeah, like, I think what I'm saying is just that in my mind, you're more open than I am somehow, but it's not the case. It's just that you do it in a way that is easier in community. Like, she was more than prepared to come and be like, this is what's happening for me. I'm going to process through it with you. And I'm like, I am going to go be by myself and tell myself I'm going to intentionally process something. And then I'm going to process it. Like, I don't do that in real time somehow. So.
But you know what? I have not always been that way. Okay. I think when I first met Ivan, or before I had met Ivan, I was always in my cave, and I call it my cave. My cave was my place. Like I was by myself with my thoughts. And sometimes I wrote. Very rarely I spoke or talked about that with anyone, because at that time I didn't have anybody who I felt safe sharing whatever was in my mind. But when I met Ivan, I remember telling him, like, I live in a cave, and I don't know if you want to be in my cave, but in my cave, nobody has been in my cave, and maybe you can come in with me because I trust you. And I had to open up the doors of my heart, because my cave is my heart. I had to open up the doors of my heart and say, this is who I am, and start sharing aspects of me that I have been hiding for a long time. It's like, I like this and I like that, and you think you like me? Well, I'll tell you something. Like, I have this and this and this and that, a list of things that people have said before that they didn't like about me, but they were part of me that I was not willing to part from. And I kept them hidden. And with him, it was, number one, the trust. Number two, I had this idea of what a couple was for me, or the way that I wanted to have a partner. And I had to create it, because he was there, very honest, very vulnerable, very, like, he put himself all there, like, I am here. And for me, it was like, yeah, I'm here too, but I don't know if I want to be taken. And the way I see it is like, I had to open the doors of my heart and allow him in. And then it was like a flow, like a rush of me coming to be given to him. And that act, that moment when I know I gave myself to him in my entirety, like there's not a single thing that Ivan does not know about me. It was freedom, number one. It was, very like, I felt vulnerable, but I also felt safe with him because he never said, "Oh, this is too much." He never said, "Oh, this is it." He never came back with anything that made me feel inadequate. It's like, this is me and I am this. And believe me, I'm talking about things that I I had never shared with anyone, but he knows it. He has seen me in states that I have, like from the highest vibrational state of me to the lowest. And he has always held a space for that. What happens now with you mostly is that I have my cave, and you, and not only you, like I will say you and a few of our friends, that I'm like, this is me. And I started like, I think I said this in a different episode, or I thought about that. It's like I've been out of my cave now, but at the entrance of the cave. And it's like, hey, this is me. And yes, I do have a cave. And yes, I can tell you what's in there now. And I feel comfortable here. And with the time, as time passes, and as I notice that I am received by other people, that is not only Ivan or my family, I dare not only to step further from my cave, but to leave the doors of my cave open. Like I am coming out somehow because I'm feeling safe. I feel safe with you. I feel safe with Stephanie, Greta, like Lisa, like all the people that are surrounding my reality right now. It's like, I am safe. I am safe. Sometimes I want to just run inside and it's like, close the doors again. But for more than I want that, I say, no, I am not going to do it. I'm going to leave my doors open because I know how it feels like living in my cave by myself. And I know now how it feels like at least stepping, 1-2 steps away from the door. Mm-hmm. And I can tell that I like being 2 steps away from the door. I like the breeze that I feel. I like the expansion of my vision and my perception. I like the feeling of being received by others. I like knowing that there's nothing wrong with me, that it's okay to be me. And it gives me permission to share myself more freely. But that's gradual. It's like that permission that I'm giving myself to be starts like little and then goes expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. And these 6 months that we have been co-housing together, it's like, wow. Like from at the beginning, not wanting to take space because I didn't know how to share space with somebody else, to, okay, I'm gonna relax and I'm gonna start taking spaces. And to me, it's like I'm walking one more step. What I'm getting right now is like, it's not that I am walking away from my cave. It's just I'm expanding my cave because I continue in the cave. I was just in a corner. Now I am taking more space.
It's very interesting. It has been an interesting past couple of weeks too. Here, a lot of, how would you describe it? A lot of conversations about like, are we ready to somehow be open? And discovering that the answer is yes, but there's like a lot of layers to the yes somehow. It's not just a like, yep, you're willing, I'm willing. Okay, let's go. It's great from here. We made a deal, so it's easy. It's done. Mm-hmm. There's so many different, levels, layers components somehow, maybe to that. And it feels like we are playing some kind of video game. We like conquer level 1 and we're like, yeah. And then it's like, well, welcome to level 2. And I'm like, oh, okay. Level 2 is harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having this vision, I think it was yesterday. We were talking about the Sphinx, that guardian at the entrance of temples or sacred places that put you in a place of being tested kind of thing to see how willing you are to go to the other side, how serious you are about going to the other side. And in this journey and in this podcast, we have been sharing the moving of the Kundalini energy, chakra through chakra through chakra. And I feel like we are at the chakra level, the heart chakra level. And this is the chakra that have been the closest, like the most closed for humans, even though we are all loved and our love is poured from our hearts. But at the same time, we have been so hurt because our uniqueness hasn't been accepted, that we are, like covered with so many layers and so many ideas of what we are being taught that we are supposed to be, how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to think, how we're supposed to talk, how we're supposed to eat, how we're supposed to, like we are supposed to. And then society tells you the phrase already to fill in the blank. There's no freedom to choose how I want to fill in my own blank, because uniqueness is like forbidden somehow. Because we're all unique and society expects something from you, it's like, oh, but I am not that. And then you feel like I am so inadequate and there's something wrong with me. But there's nothing wrong with us. What is really wrong is just the idea that we're all supposed to be acting and thinking and doing and, being the same. And I think that's what this opening of the heart chakra is asking us or inviting us to do in this experience of co-housing together two families, because your family does things differently than our family. And so many people have come to us and said, like, I really don't know how you guys do it. I couldn't do it. Like, not everybody dares to do that because at home is the only place kind of thing. If you dare enough, your home will be the only place in which you dare to be. Depending on the agreements of what your partner and you, if you have a partner, decide in how to raise your children. But then you come with what's easy and comfortable for you to show with another family. And then it's like, okay, but 1 second, you guys, like the story Better Together, you guys are drinking rainwater and we drink spring water. And you guys are eating with flat dishes and we eat in bowls. You guys use forks and we use spoons. And for a long time, we have had this idea of mixing, of becoming one, your ways and my ways. And it's okay, like we're going to get into the middle. We have been talking about being in two different places, two opposite places, because we already knew from the beginning that we were very different from each other. And we were trying to meet in the middle and meet in the middle because somehow
Compromise, right?
this is what we do. We meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And what we have been discovering in our journey is like, it doesn't have to be a middle. You can continue being you and doing the things that are important to you because you're in very much touch with what you want and what's important for you. And for me, it's like, has been an invitation to even dare, or to dare even more, to show who I really am. And not only to dare more, but to question. I have been questioning so much of my ways, and I've always done it, But with you, because I have the contrast so close to me, it's like, oh my God. And up until now, my contrasts in life before you have been, oh, this is A and I'm going to do Z. Oh, this is D and I'm going to do P. But this contrast is like, this is A and I am B. And somehow, yeah, it's okay. I don't need to be A. Thank you, A. I love you, A. And I'm going to be me unapologetically. I think that is something that I didn't have, like being authentically me unapologetically, because I'm always feeling I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. I'm walking on your step. I'm taking space from you. I'm like, I've been raised so freaking considerate to others, putting other people as more important than me, that it doesn't matter what I wanted, doesn't matter what I like, it doesn't matter my preferences. Your preference will always going to be more important. And this opening of the chakra is like, 1 second, Tenshy, you have been living in a place of love for others that you can expand, or at the same time, it's like you have to go one level lower. You have to go down a little bit, because before you put others as more important, you have to put you. And nobody taught me how to put myself as more important. So this it's been a holy moly, a journey of pain. It's been painful. I have cried a lot. I've been wanting to disappear from the world, because like, how come I am 43 and I do not know how to be unapologetically me? Like, what the fuck? And at the same time, it's like, what's wrong with me? And the hardest thing is that when you don't measure up to the standards of the people that cohabitate with you and co-live with you, you feel like, my goodness, what is wrong with me? And I just want to run away because I need to measure up. I don't ask others to give me what I need. I ask myself what I need. So for me, not measuring up to your being unapologetically person and yourself, and Ivan being unapologetically himself, or your kids or my kids, everybody's being, you're like, this is me, and if you don't like it, too bad. I'm like, okay, guys, like, you are in my space, and I don't know how to set boundaries, and I don't know how to, like, it's been a journey of, oh my goodness, putting myself first. And I will say, like, I'm going backwards. Like, we are raising our kids to put themselves as the most important thing for themselves. You have maybe raised that way too, because I see you and it's like, yeah, you give yourself the things that you want first, and you think about what makes you happy, what is important to you, before asking anybody else, maybe not your kids, because you're a mom. That makes it different. Ivan, the same thing. It's like, I need a freaking light at 3 a.m, and I don't care if everybody is bothered about the light. I'm going to go out with the light because I need to see the light, and kind of those things. But for me, it's like, I can be needing things that I am not asking for. But why? Why? Or I have been having people in what I consider my space, my boundaries, and I haven't said anything. Why? Why?
I remember when I was pregnant with Tucker, who is my first child, who is going to be 12. So 12 years ago, which is insane. 12 years ago, I remember having a discussion with my parents and saying to them basically, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was 20. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to be a mother and I'm 20 and I'm going to figure this out. But it's going to be easy because the only thing that matters going forward is this child. Like, and my parents, as the parents of me being their child, they were like, what do you mean? Like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, what do I want? Like, that doesn't matter. Like, I have a freaking human growing inside of me, and like, whatever needs to be done for him is all that, like, going forward, that's my line. That's my standard. And I remember feeling confused that they weren't like proud of me for making this decision. Like, look at me, I'm stepping up. I'm going to be a mom. Like, this is what motherhood and parenthood is. It's like sacrifice. Kids is all that matters. And I think that's how I lived as my first, let's say, like 4 years of parenting. And it was ugly. Like, so ugly, because somehow making all my decisions based on that small human being resulted in the fact, like, I wasn't doing things that I wanted to. I was literally being taken along for a ride by decisions that I assumed my 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old wanted or needed, which obviously he wasn't even vocalizing. It was my assumptions of what a child might need. And I grew resentful. I grew irritated. Things were not going the way I wanted them to because I was not choosing them for myself. I was choosing them for what I assumed he needed. And I just grew more and more dissatisfied in my own life because I wasn't, like, I didn't even have a spot. I just didn't consider myself at all. And when I got resentful and when I got irritated, I took it out on that child. Yeah, I remembered her when I was pregnant with my second child, which would have been 7 or 8 years ago, feeling somehow so burned out by the fact that when I was pregnant with my second, my oldest was 4 turning 5. So for that first 4 years, I had literally made that child my priority. And like I said, the resentment grew. And I could see that what I was doing as a mother was not giving me the results that I wanted. And I was confused by that because in my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm putting this child first, like, why does it not feel like he is first? Why does it not feel like he's thriving in this beautiful environment of being the priority? And I started to do a lot of reflection on that. I read a bunch of different books while I was pregnant with my second, trying to figure out like a different, somehow better way to do what I was doing. And a lot of other variables shifted as well. But I think it was when my second was about 1 to 1.5 that I remember making a conscious decision that I finally understood the only way to serve anybody, myself or anyone that I share space with, a partner, my kids, my friends, my family, my parents, my brothers, all those things. The only way I can show up and be of any, not of any use, but like really add value was to do me first, is how I used to put it. Like, I do me, man. Like, whatever I need is the choice that I have to make. Because if I don't, and I'm making a choice for you, and it doesn't turn out, and you're not even pleased with the fact that I made a choice for you, then I'm going to be somehow upset with you, even though you didn't ask me to make that choice. I'm going to be upset with me because I didn't get what I wanted. And it just makes this like somehow ugly situation. Like, does that make sense? Like, I was making choices for my 2 sons, but I didn't ask them if that's actually what they wanted. I was making them based off of my assumptions. And when it wasn't working out for them, I'm like, but I'm doing this for you. And I'm sure if they had like the emotional intelligence and intelligence at that time to be like, well, it's not what I want, Mom. Like, you never even asked me what I wanted. And so I was so unsatisfied because I didn't make choices for myself. And so I, at some point, turned this page of like, if I want to be a mom or a human that contributes, I have to honor myself. But I don't think that's how I was necessarily raised. I would have to think more about that. But because I was really raised so much in a religious construct, in most religions, I don't matter. Not I don't matter, but what matters more than the human is whatever your higher being is, right? Like, I was a Christian. I was raised that like God's will and the sacrifice that Jesus made and all of those things were definitely somehow more important than what I wanted or needed. Like, my religion, my certain sect of it, we don't drink, we barely dance. There was certainly no smoking, no sex, no anything, right? So if I wanted to do any of that, never mind me. Like, all that mattered is the higher power and the expectations of that particular higher power. So I don't think that's how I was somehow made to be, but because of that very powerful period of time, my first 4 years of motherhood, I guess, it was just such a first-hand, in-my-face experience of like, I tried to still put myself somehow like sacrificial, which is a very religious thing, like sacrifice. It's all about the sacrifice. It's all about the sacrifice. Well, if you're sacrificing because you're feeling somehow forced to, eventually resentment comes. And eventually dissatisfaction comes for your own self. And to live life dissatisfied, that to me is hell. Like, we talk about bringing heaven to earth. And if a human is literally moving through their days, taking their breaths, never ever really feeling true satisfaction and true joy, like, why?
Oh, I lived that for many years.
Why?
Many years.
There's a question from the audience. Can we maybe go over the difference between being selfless and sacrifice?
Yes, but I also have something to say about something that I just I will add as part of my own journey. You said that you were raised to look at you as less than this God, Jesus, like religious standard kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was not raised religious, even though everybody in Venezuela is Catholic. And yes, I went to a Catholic school and high school and university, but that never was integrated in my being. Like, I heard that and it was like went in one ear and out on the other one. I don't think I integrated much in me. But I heard you saying that you were doing choices for your kids, thinking that that's what they needed, but in reality, they didn't ask you, or you didn't ask what they really need. And I put myself as a child and so like, were you even asked what you needed? And I don't remember. All I heard was like what my mom needed, what my dad needed. And that that made me grow somehow as a people's pleaser, like a mommy and daddy's pleaser. Like, mommy needs quiet time because she's studying and need to be quiet. And daddy needs you to behave because he's going to lose his shit. Then you have to be quiet. And everything that I was asked for, I better did it because the consequence was so violent that I was so afraid of being. So number one, being not being asked. Number two, growing as a people's pleaser. And I like to connect this idea with our conversation one of these nights. It's like that at the end, what I think is the seed of my motivation to be a people's pleaser and to put everybody before me and to consider others before I consider me is a fear of rejection.
Yes.
And I am going to share something that I would not share with at the end. The opening of the heart is finding that inner child that has been rejected since the moment it was conceived. Because I was not the product of, like fun for my mom. Like,
You were not by any means conscious conception.
exactly. Not only conscious conception, not even agree on having sex.
Consensual.
My mom was abused by my biological dad, and that maybe unconsciously made her reject me. And when we think that we are cells, that our cells have memory, and you grow in a womb for 9 months, and your mother's thoughts are affecting you, and the environment where your mother is affecting you. My whole being screams rejection. It's like I put myself in a cave. Maybe in reality, nobody was rejecting me for real, even though I know it was a reality for me. My ex-husband for 10 years told me that I was too much, that I was not this, that I was not enough for him. And I believed him. But before him, my whole being said, you are not welcome. Nothing that has to do with you is welcome. So I became a people's pleaser, so I could have a place to be. Oh, I was born in a family that did not want me to be born. Like it was better for my mom to have an abortion. And my goodness, that's why I said, like, opening of the heart is not as pretty as everybody like to think that it is. It comes with beautiful moments, but it also comes with pain. And when you are aware of something that you are feeling at the moment, something that is triggering, and you start wondering why and why and why, and going into what we have been calling the rabbit hole till now, you find these kind of things, and it's like, oh my God. Yeah, of course, I'm putting everybody else as more important because I don't want to be rejected. Now, how do I move from that realization to a place that makes me feel more comfortable, that serves me, as you said the other day, like, how much does that serve you? It's like, let me move from that pity and that, oh, poor me, and that, oh, this is my story kind of thing. Let me move me from there to where I want to be, because I know even though I could have been rejected, I was not. I am still here. I am 43, 44 years after I was born, or I was conceived. I am here. I have been supported by my parents. I have been supported by universe. I have been supported. I have been loved by so many people. Like, rejection, I want to leave rejection as part of my experience, of my soul's experience. But I don't want to get into that loop. I don't want to stay in that loop. And what I have been getting or giving myself or giving this inner child is somehow being the mom and say, you're welcome. Your ways are welcome. Focusing on the things that I am proud of myself, the things that I like about myself, and walking with pride for being who I am. Because regardless of my story made me who I am right now. And I am so fucking proud of who I am. Like, I think I'm a beautiful human being. And all I have to do is just continue coming out of my heart. And yeah, I'm not going to be loved and liked by everyone. And that is totally fine. But I do have people that love me and accept me and like me. And I'm going to focus on them. I'm going to continue pouring my love to them. And whoever does not like me, like, they can go. Just go. It's okay. It's okay not to be liked. It's okay. I like myself.
It's interesting too that somehow we put so much weight and stock into those kinds of relationships. So what I'm thinking is, like, obviously that initial rejection was subconsciously imprinted on you from your mom, who is an incredible, like, relationship. That's a foundational relationship of our lives, is our caregivers, whether it's our biological caregivers who we came through physically, like that person, whether they remain your caregiver or not, imprints you. But whoever you grow with for the first 5-10 years of your life is so foundational. And then things like first intimate relationships, like partners, those are so foundational. And we put so much weight and stock into how those things progress, without considering that, like, those people, yes, they know us the best on some level, but they also are the safest to be their full selves with us. So much of their own shit is what comes out onto us.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm thinking about, you've shared with me over the past probably month, a number of different just like little moments that the universe has given to you of like totally random strangers who don't know you on that level, but also don't feel safe around you to like be their true authentic self, obviously, but come from the universe with these messages of like, hey, you're freaking rad. Like, do you know that? And it's just like a stranger. So you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, thanks. Like this person said this to me today and it was so nice and it was so cool. But we kind of brush those things off because it's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's a nice thing that happened. But we don't put weight into those because they're not somehow significant enough to us. But I'm just thinking right now that there is, like, I know you and I share the belief that like the universe is always communicating with us, higher selves are always communicating with us and giving us these messages. And I think somehow we have to reel it in to like somehow filter out what those significant relationships are putting on us that is actually their own. And being able to take the goodness that people are giving us because it is ours. It's not their own. Like when a stranger comes up to you and says something to you, typically that's not their own thing. That's just like something they notice about you. So it's like the purest, beautiful message, if it is meant for you, that you could just take without, I don't know, having to filter off like all the stuff that comes with the people who feel safe from you. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, at a conscious level, I have to say that even there was rejection from my mom. And maybe at an unconscious level, she always says that she always said yes. Like, even though when she was brought to the hospital to have an abortion, when the doctor sent all the other sisters, the older sisters, the ones that knew better because they are older, the doctor sent them away. So like, I need to talk to her only. And when the doctor asked her, like, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to have a baby. Like, I'm having the baby. And then the doctor came out and it's like, I'm sorry, I cannot do anything because the baby is too big. There was probably enough time for my mom to have the abortion if it was her choice. But her choice was to have me. And I am here 43 years after being in my cave and out of my cave and in and out, actually with my mom's company, being the witness of all that I come up with, all the different versions of myself, with the different range of emotions and vibrational beings that I can be. There is always a place for me from her. So yeah, I love you, Mom.
Yes, indeed.
And well, I think we could be here forever talking about the heart chakra, but so far, this is it's been part of our journey, my journey. Me being the external processor, Kia being the space holder, bouncing ideas, asking the right questions, always being there for me too.
Like, I feel we have not had quite as many conversations in the last little bit because, I don't know, because why? You were in a place that I had not seen you before, and I think I was like, I never like to intrude somehow. So I'm used to you being an external processor and being like, okay, like knock, 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 here's my conversation. And because you are not really at a space where you were doing that, I feel like we have many conversations to catch up on, which is nice because we can do it in front of the camera rather than at 2 a.m. when we kind of shucks and say, where's Ivan at 2 a.m.? Why is he not recording these gems we are coming with? So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of good things that we can work through over the next couple of episodes. And that will help me as a non-external processor go through my own things as well. I had something that I wanted to talk about, but I will somehow write it down and we'll get to it another time because it's like linked but separate, as is everything. But yeah.
That's good. Leave them hanging.
Leave
That's
them
good.
hanging. She loves cliffhangers. And I
Yes.
think it makes me fearful because I'm like, well, what if I don't remember? Like, that's the thing. She will always have somehow in her mind, she remembers all the things.
Oh, yeah.
I'll like say a word and then the next day she's like, remember yesterday you said this? I'm like, I did not say that. She's like, you sure did. And we talked about, anyways. It is something to like, I want to talk about how this whole thing looks like. This is our journey, you and me, and figuring out our stuff, and trying to figure out how to put ourselves first, and looking back at our childhoods and seeing what the space we grew up in, how that kind of put our boundaries and parameters on our inner children's, and made us the way we are. But the beautiful thing about this generation and what is happening on a very global level all over the world right now is parents reparenting themselves simultaneously, literally parenting external beings. And so while you were talking about your journey with trying to put yourself first and create your boundaries and all of that, my mind was thinking like, how do kids fit into that, especially like in our house? And so somehow a conversation around the actual tangible parenting methods. I do this because we don't have a lot of methods around here, but the ways we do things, and somehow sharing things that we've learned and
Oh yeah, that will
what
be
we're seeing.
a whole new episode on that topic for sure. I'm open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get there. But for today, thank you for sharing. Always.
Thank you.
We appreciate your vulnerability. We know every time we sit that we're not the only ones feeling these kinds of things. Ours are obviously more in our own faces. And I think because of the way we're choosing to do life right now, it's bringing so much to the light. And we know that whatever we say that's resonating with you, we know it will hit, but we want you to honor it. And whether that's reaching out to us through comments, through personal messages, through any avenue you have to communicate with us, if you know us personally, whether it's reaching out to people that you have in your life that are your space holders or your person who helps you externally process. Our hope with this is to build somehow intentional, open community all over the world. Like in our beautiful house, in the community we have on Vancouver Island, far reaching to the communities that both of us came from, in Edmonton, Calgary, Venezuela, all the places. But we know that this is like a ripple effect. And so please feel free to continue coming with the comments. We've had a couple on our last videos that were just so like heartfelt. And people talking about, it was the episode with the creatures, you know, like how they're like, oh, this made me realize and identify some of my own things and feel grateful that I have a space where I can go through those things, and like gave me the courage to kind of look at them, and that means a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. Whether it has anything to do with us or not, whether you do that in your own space, like just know that there are people always out there who will hold space for whatever it is you're going through, for you to be fully open.
Yeah, I see this podcast as kind of a flag thing, like a symbol to let other people know that you are not alone.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm going through shit too, and you are not alone. Like, I am
come join
here.
us.
I am here too. It's somehow a way of
Uniting.
getting like the expression of coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
But it's coming out of the heart, coming out from this cave that we all dig for ourselves. And then we are so deep in that we are afraid of coming out.
Yeah.
So in this era right now where people are learning how to live differently, more consciously, that the earth vibration and frequency is rising so much, this is a moment for us to hear the calling and come out and sing your song, because somebody else is singing their song too, and all united will sing a beautiful song. So please dare to sing your song. It's special and it's important and it's needed. Much love.